12 Angry Men. One of my favorite actors in cinema, who was one of my biggest inspirations to become a pool player and, if not, in general. He said something very fascinating about this movie, and I quote, "Why is this my favorite movie? I prefer simple plots with complex characters rather than complex plots with simple characters." End quote. That was said by Paul Newman. Now, what did he mean by that particular quote when he said, "I prefer simple plots with complex characters rather than a complex plot with simple characters"? Well, in my definition, I think this is what he means. He'd rather have a story that's straight and forward to the point, with personalities that are very stubborn, but also you learn their backgrounds and who they are, and it gives you a different perspective and variety of personalities than it is giving you a story that's hard to understand with characters that are just very straightforward and to the point. And I agree with Paul Newman what he said about this particular movie, especially with how he quoted it, very summed up in a proper sentence. A plot that's very straightforward to the point, but gives you personalities that you can just learn from how they're interacting with one another by just looking at their facial expressions, their mannerisms, but also learning exactly their own reasonings and their own fucking motives. This is one of those movies to where it's all about the personalities involved. There's no fucking bullshit. There's no CGI, there's no visual effects, there's no extraordinary, big ass setting. It takes place in one little room. It takes place with 12 men who are the jury for a first degree murder that took place. They have to talk among themselves to see if the verdict is guilty or not guilty. That's it. That's your movie. That's your story. Straight, simple, and forward to the fucking point. It's a simple plot, simple area, simple script, just pure acting of talent. I don't need to say anything about Henry Fonda. The guy himself, he's played in so many fucking movies over the years where he was mostly a good guy and occasionally a bad guy. Once Upon a Time in the West, where he was, if not the biggest bad guy in any film. But in this one right here, for him being the first guy to be the jury to say not guilty, and then later convince everyone else to not say guilty later on, is extraordinary. So Henry Fonda, I don't need to say anything, but if there's one person in this film who I have to give some recognition to who deserves a lot, it's Lee J. Cobb. I think he deserves a lot more credit than what he is given for in a lot of movies that he has played in. Also, specifically in this role, in my perspective, is his best performance that he has done in said film. He's playing a lot of Western films, and he's playing a lot of different dramas, this being one of them. But in this case, some films like How the West Was Won, On the Waterfront, Golden Boy, Coogan's Bluff. He played in some films like that, but this one right here, he was a mean old bastard in this film. You learn about his personality. A lot of these guys, you learn what their work is. You learn who they are, if they have a wife, if they have kids, what kind of job they have, why they're in this court case to begin with. It's not just being selected, jury within your number being drawn, but also just, in general, why they're there. Some of them have no experience in a court case, and some of them do. But this is a particular court case where it's not just about burglary or arson or anything else. This is a first-degree murder that they have to testify and see if this young 18-year-old kid committed this crime or not. Lo and behold, the thing is that this movie, this to me is the definition of what a film is all about. And for anybody who's like in film school, or if anybody who wants to be an up-and-coming film director or writer or fucking actor, if I have to give you a recommendation of like a shitload of movies where you can watch and learn something from, you can learn something from this movie right here. If you want to be a writer, director, actor, you name it, set designer, whatever. If you want to be a part of cinema, if you want to be a fucking film critic yourself and you want to just enjoy and admire the works of what movies are all about, this is one of those movies that I would definitely not only recommend, but also add to your list to watch. If you're a fucking film student who does that kind of thing that you kind of like to do, if you're in film school, whatever, if you enjoy that and that's what you're trying to do to pursue a career in this, 12 Angry Men is one of those movies you should definitely watch. Whether it's in school or if you just want to go and buy the Blu-ray or VHS and watch it for your own free will, just so you can be inspired, this is one of those movies. And the thing is that this took place in the fucking 50s, where no actors or actresses were dressing up in like fancy costumes. They had a nice suit on, slicked back hair, looking like gentlemen. That's one thing I've always loved about time frame settings of films with this within the golden age of Hollywood. It's the fact that there's no other nonsense going on. It's just an actor given a character that they're going to play, dressed like fucking gentlemen, and they're given a role. It's not to me about the look, it's about the personality, and it's also how they are portraying said character and how much you can buy into their performance that they are given. The thing I love is the camera work was fantastic. It was the shots on the faces, the way that the camera was panning around the room, getting close-ups of their faces where you get to see their mannerisms, their expressions, hear their testimonies, and how they're interacting with one another. No music in the background. All the tension was literally based off everyone's emotions and the intense sweat that they had on their faces. I can imagine how hot it was in that room. But for this particular case right here, the fact that you saw everything with how the camera was just showcasing it all. Like I said, for anybody who wants to learn how to work a camera, this is one of those movies where you can take the camera and actually do some really cool shots with the premise you have. The angles, the looks, just the perspective, pointing it at the actors, and you get to read their blank expressions when they're explaining their fucking reasoning. And the thing is that this movie was a progression. Sure, they go back and forth talking about certain evidence that they've already discussed, but here's the thing. More and more little details begin to unravel as the movie progresses. And thus, with a lot of these details changing, it changes their minds as well. From guilty to not guilty. It's all about the fucking progression in storytelling. Fantastic. But the thing is that Juror 3, the most amazing thing of what made this guy not only crack, but was the fact that he had instant regret and guilt later on in the film. His performance where he was all angry, he was all tense, he was all pissed off, but he later cracks because he's got his own guilt, he's got his own regrets, and I'm sure it's shown that he had a happier time, but not anymore, because you learn. All these guys, you learn their backgrounds. Good God, this movie's amazing. Now, I can understand, and I know that there has been a remake, which wasn't that bad. I think it came out in 1997, where James Gandolfini was in it as well. But there was also, again, well known for being a stage play as well. But then again, this movie was technically a stage play brought to the big screen with some very well-known names. So, 12 Angry Men, it is one of those movies that is a fucking masterpiece. It is on the Criterion Collection, which I would love to get and add to my library. But as for my own rating, like I said, this is one of those movies where you can say it is fucking masterful with storytelling. And for anybody who wants to become a film person, watch this movie, because 12 Angry Men is a proper 6 out of 5 stars on the rating scale. This movie is fucking phenomenal. It's the definition of what, to me, a movie is all about. Well, folks, that's going to do it for my little talk on 12 Angry Men. I should make a sequel called 13 Angry Men, because I'm one angry son of a bitch myself. So, folks, stay tuned for more to come as always here on the page, and ciao for now.